Today we're going to talk about the three people who were killed by ICE agents in the early parts of 2026 and Keith Porter Jr. On New Year's Eve. That the whole situation just eating at me. I ain't gonna lie. I've been looking at a lot of news. I've been looking at a lot of commentary, a lot of stuff on the internet, and it just seems like everybody feels like, and I might be wrong, but it just seems like the black guy who was murdered by an off-duty agent, the in my personal opinion, of the three, he should have been the least likely to die. He should have been the one who should not have died. There's no reason for your neighbor. I mean, an investigation absolutely has to take place on that one, only because the guy was off duty. You're an off-duty cop. What you were doing at that moment before you took someone's life has to be looked into. And the sad part about it is that one isn't in Minnesota. That one's in LA County. We got Karen Bass. We got Gavin Newsom out here. What is the fuck is going on? Why do they feel that they don't have to respond to us? And they done gerrymandered our districts up, made theirself an advantage coming into the 2026 midterms, and are relying heavily on the black vote and our support. But they're willing to chance that? Yeah. With us. With only us. They're willing to basically close their eyes and close their ears and just wait until it drops out of the news. Just like Keith Porter is beginning to drop out of the news. Keith Porter Jr. should be in the news every day, just like Renee Good and the new guy, Pretty, who got shot. It just is what it is. The dude deserves his investigation to come out and to find out why that guy shot him. What made that guy feel threatened? Were other people in the building calling 911? But then I look at the news and I see these black ex-cops, ex-chiefs, ex-lieutenants, high up in law enforcement, in the military, in the government, and they say, well, see right here, the officer could have jumped aside, and the officer he positioned himself in front of that vehicle, and he didn't have to, I hear police talking almost like how normal people think. That's how we always thought it was. But for decades, they told us that ain't the way it was. When black men are out there dying under these exact same, I'm sitting here, can't wait to get home and watch the news after I hear about a black person being murdered, killed, so I can see. Then there's footage. Oh my God, I got to see this. And then we start seeing this footage. And it's nothing like what they were telling us in their police reports and in their versions of the story. And you go, well, okay, I did see the car roll forward, or I did see the black guy actually with no police in front of him take off. And the police is standing on the side of the road with his body cam on, shooting a car that's fleeing, where he isn't in danger, in imminent danger. So it's just thousands of them. But the thing about the Renee Good one is, when I first saw it, I reverted back to my original brainwashing, and I was like, well, yeah, a police officer who is being safe for himself and for the other person, because he don't want to have to kill him, is going to probably try to keep himself out of being directly in front of that car, unless he knows, I'm getting in front of this car, you are going to stop, and if you don't, it's escalating. I mean, if he already has that mindset and that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. But it just, looking at her, toying with the police, kind of like not sticking her tongue out physically, but sticking her tongue out at them, I'm not mad. You mad? We ain't mad. Just hearing her wife on the other side of the car, and we got to hear that conversation, and it's taunting. You don't taunt fucking police. You just don't. I don't give a fuck. But if you If you are the person in this country who does not get targeted by police, who doesn't get murdered and beat up by police, who doesn't get pulled over and have your day ruined by police, who don't normally end up in the custody of the police, you don't expect that. You think you're out there as an American citizen and you can use your whiteness and your American citizenship to kind of piss the police off, kind of annoy them a little bit, get in their way. And the illegal immigrants can't do that, but you felt you could. But they've been telling us for decades we can't. And that's why the sad part about this unfortunate opportunity is it gives us an opportunity to hopefully to move forward, hopefully to unify around as civilians, unify together and realize, hey, ma'am, if that behavior from those police, if that force that they used on you was unfair and overreaching, we want to support you and pulling that back. And we should feel that other people should look at us and be like, man, they're out in the streets fucking killing black people. That's fucked up. Even if it's not hitting them directly, when times like this happen, then it does, because that's how police. And that's why black people are looking at it maybe in a little bit of a calmer way, because we feel that's really what they do to us. But then we're starting to see the response going back a whole lot different than anything we've ever seen. This is different. I'm hearing news reporters who did the George Floyd story from beginning to end and end to beginning and all of that. And I remember them always saying, when those black people were taking pictures on their cell phones and talking on their cell phones and screaming at that police officer to get off of George Floyd's back or neck or whatever the fuck he was doing with his knee. And they were screaming at him, get off of him. And the other police officers, the guy was such of a threat to get away that no one else was even really, they were holding his legs, and then that was it. I mean, that dude was handcuffed and suffocated to death under the knee of that police officer. But where I was going with that was these people standing on the side with their video cameras on their cell phones. What do you think would have happened if one of those black men had walked off that sidewalk and down into the street on the curb area and pushed that police officer off of George Floyd? It would have saved George Floyd's life, possibly. But what do you think those other police who were milling around that area, basically like cordoning off the area where you know, he got that and we just making sure that nobody else interfere? It's always when it's a black person, we can't interfere. We can't touch. Being close and observing is a problem in a lot of cases. But now everybody's saying, I can film legally, I can do this, I can do that. And they're right. But our rights have been being violated all this time when it comes to that kind of shit. We go out there trying to be too involved. People are the third death. The pretty dude, he got shot for walking anywhere near fucking armed police with a gun on you. Period. When they was wrestling with him and his shirt flew up and they probably said, oh shit. Or one of them started nervously screaming, gun, 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 gun. I'm hearing everything so backwards and upside down. All the conditioning and all the brainwashing that I went through from my elementary school, middle school, high school years growing up in Compton to what's going on now is like up is down and down is up. And it makes no sense. They always said, if you're in a car and the police tell you to stop and that car keep moving, that's a deadly weapon. And it ain't even got to be going toward the police on his foot. You can't even drive that deadly weapon into his vehicle. That's an attack on the police and an assault up to and including attempted murder or murder if you kill him. So you can't use your car in that way. I got it. Homeboy with the gun on him. You going to a peaceful protest. Unless he was just walking by on his lunch break and he always packing. That's why we need investigations. So we can have some context. We need to understand Why was he in that area? Was he there specifically for the protest? Because if he was, that's a problem. And anybody who is sitting in front of a camera, anybody who is out there talking to their friends over drinks, and they are saying, well, you got the right to carry a gun. You're a legal carrier. You legal carrying. Yeah, like Philando Castile. Remember him? A legal carrier sitting in the car. Hey, he's the passenger. He ain't even driving. And the police focused on him. And not to even be able to think there's a fucking kid in the back seat. There's a kid in the back seat and there's a lady driving. What is this guy gonna do? Just pull out a gun and start blasting on me? I haven't even identified him as having a reason to run. Why would I even take it to that? That's how it is for us. That dude was a legal carrier. He could legally carry a firearm. And he exposed that to the police officer immediately, which they tell you to do, which seems to be the worst shit to do. Because they start thinking different. Well, who in the world it does not have a legal permit and going to tell the police they do? Oh, yes, sir, I have a gun on me, and I'm legally authorized to carry. And the police going to be like, oh, okay, cool, and walk off. Now, you want to make sure he can confirm all that, but it just seems like the police just flip and change. And in this instance, maybe with these ICE officers who aren't so used to the constant public contact, maybe they aren't as well trained. It's a whole lot of things that could go into this right here. But the bottom line is they dealt her the same measure of policing that police all across the country are doing. And I don't want to hear anybody talk about defunding ICE and continuing to fund these police who are brutally attacking us where we live permanently. This is just a phase we're going through. It's a very unfortunate one and it's a violent one, but it's a phase. They can't continue this forever, even if they do it until the end of Trump's term. That's just 3 more years. Not decades. Not decades. So as long as it's something that is going to end, and we all know it's going to end, that should give you some hope. But in the process, it does give you an opportunity to hopefully change policing because you got to be on the wrong end of those bullets. And you get to see how the police really are and how they really don't give a fuck. When they come out there and they doing their thing, they don't have time to pull out their clipboard and ask you a whole bunch of questions. They yell a command at you, and if you ain't moving before they get the end of that shit out, they start physically touching you. You got to get it going. You got to move. They ain't got time for all that bullshit. And we understand. That's why a lot of us just stay out the way. Protesting is not a good thing, but sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes the emotions are there, and sometimes you are required by whatever reason. And it's justifiable. If your ass ends up out protesting, it's justifiable. That's what you want to do. But you must take the necessary precautions. You must take your safety, and you must understand that and your safety must be the highest priority because you may not ever come back home again. There is something in that lady's house that she was planning on getting back to, her life. There was something that registered nurse at the VA, he had a job, he had family. Keith Porter Jr., he had kids, he has a mom, parents, they love him, a community, co-workers, neighbors, and just one neighbor. That investigation is fucking need to happen so goddamn bad so we could find out who else in that building was threatened to the point of calling 911 or going out and confronting the young man. What the fuck? Off-duty police officers, when we start doing this shit, that's to me the thing that sticks out is that Keith Porter Jr. was not in Minneapolis. Keith Porter Jr. is black of the 3. And Keith Porter Jr. was killed by an off-duty police officer. That's the one that stick the fuck out to me, and I don't like that shit. It pisses me off because everybody's acting like, and I mean that when I say that, even black people are, kind of going, we're so goddamn well trained now that we can jump back from, like they always wanted us to be able to do. So we can understand an ass whooping when it applies to us. And we can understand being physically assaulted or cheated or fucked up when it applies to us. But when it applies to other people, then we out there yelling, "Hey, you can't do that to her. He shot her through the window. She was just moving her car trying to get away." But when we do it, we ain't trying to get away. Or we might be trying to get away. But in the process of getting away, you could accidentally kill a police officer. That's what they always tell us. That's what I believe. That's what they've been conditioned and beat into my head. Police officers anywhere near your shit. And you pushing down on the accelerator, it could go real fucked up. But when people don't expect that to happen to them, that's what we get. And we have a lot of rage and a lot of protests going on in this country, and not anybody except the people who it's been happening to for decades can see like the difference. And some of them can't. Some black people are really like enraged about this, and not even just thinking back to George Floyd. That wasn't that long ago, and that would be a reasonably close enough time to make a comparison and to understand that he did something that got himself arrested and everything, but murdered, and with other black people standing around with cell phone cameras videotaping the murder. Because if any of them had gone over there and put their hands on that police officer physically, maybe to bring him back and snap him out of whatever he was going through, but just to remove him from off of that guy. If you'd have walked out on that sidewalk and been yelling at the other cops, "Get him off of him," you could have died just by removing yourself up 15 feet or 8 feet or however far it would have been. And that just lets you know that we have a racist country, and don't nobody want to confront it. Don't nobody want to deal with it on that level. We just want everybody to understand, the police included, who you can beat, who you can kill, who you can fuck up. And we want citizens to understand their place, what you can do and what you can't do. You can't do that. Why? Do it then. See it happen to your ass. That's pretty much how it is. Nobody wants to, they want to keep you in that glass capsule where they can watch everything that you do in that fucking fishbowl without saying it. They want you to figure it out on your own, so that when you accuse them of being racist, they can be like, "Oh no, you have every opportunity everyone else does. Oh no, the police would never treat you any different than they treat anybody else." Wink, wink. It's getting old. We're tired of it. Thank you, Donald Trump, for winning the presidency, because under a Kamala Harris presidency, we wouldn't have learned shit. Would it still be faking like the Democrats love us more than the Republicans, and the Republicans are the racists and the Democrats aren't, and all kind of bullshit that it goes on when the Democrats win. He dismantling parts of the government that they have taken decades to put in place. He is exhibiting presidential powers that most presidents don't, because the flow of the current is already going their way. So all they have to do is make little turns here and little turns there and adjustments. This dude is doing 180s, lefts, rights. He's doing a lot of shit. Stopping, I'll be right back. Get back in the car, spinning out. He's doing stuff that presidents usually don't. Even between Republican and Democratic presidents, they usually keep it more on the rails than this. But he's like, nope, because he realized time is of essence. And that would make someone who votes for a person be excited to know that the person you vote for is going to do something in the next few years, in his case, the next few fucking months of your life, that you're going to get to see and absorb and witness, as opposed to that shit they do. Makes no sense. Black people, stand up, wake up, and open your eyes and understand when a police officer pulls you over and say, "Can I search your car?" and you say, "No, sir." And then he say, "Well, go over there and talk to my partner." And you go over there and he'd search your car anyway and get away with it and all that shit. All those things don't happen to white people. That's why when they do, this is what you get. We think that the police are just policing, and they're not. They're not. They're oppressing us. They're abusing us, and they're not doing to everyone else what they're doing to us. And it's a problem with that. And it's something that we need to take this opportunity and fix. And the Congressional Black Caucus, when they wake up from their fucking nap, maybe they can join in and help. Like, comment, share. Please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.